fascinates me is that, which in your case has proven to be a dynamic tension between an adopted family and a birth family. What were some of the emotions that you went through in reconciling those two families?
Well, that's the book I've written, 10 Doors Down, deals with these issues in great detail. But in a nutshell, my story is that I grew up with the most wonderful mum and dad, Gwen and Bert Tickner, who were, in every sense, my mum and dad. I always knew I was adopted. I was the only child in the family. And I didn't even want to search for my origins, even when the law first changed in the early 1990s. It was really only when my son Jack was born and I looked down to this little boy and saw the first person that I was biologically connected to or genetically connected to on the planet. And I suddenly thought, oh, there's something else here, you know. And so in a matter of a month or so, I lifted the contact veto and then went through this process of meeting my birth mother. And why the book is called 10 Doors Down is because the most extraordinary coincidence was that when I met her, she lived at number 38 Lansdowne Street, Merrylands in Western Sydney. And literally 10 doors away from that was the only house that I really knew in Sydney growing up from a small baby through to when I was about 12 or 13. Because that's the house where my adopted mother was born and where I would go back to visit my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
So in a city of 3+ million people or 4 million people, this is the amazing coincidence. But the real part of the story that you ask about is how I coped in the meeting. And for me, it was easy because I'd had such a beautiful life. But my birth mother had never been able to have any other children because of the pain of the adoption. And I'm not kidding you, could not have any other children. She could not face the prospect of having another child. So she suffered her entire life until I met her in my early 40s. And then my son Jack came into her life. She got the little baby that she never had with me. And, we then bonded and, I had to do, and I don't say this in any sense of martyrdom, but a privilege, that I had to work with her to reassure her that I was going to stay with her for the rest of her life, which I duly did. I think she was worried that I would leave her life in some way. But, she just had this process of coming to terms with it all and this joyous outcome of connecting with me and my family. And then after, the original meeting with her, a year and a half later, I met my birth father and 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And, that was just another dimension because I had thought that my adopted parents were the dominant influences on my life until I met my birth mother and my birth father. And my birth father had some qualities that I would not want to speak about myself, but they are qualities that are the essence of me. And when I met him, I found those qualities in him. And it was a profound experience.